Hey guys, it's Grace Pamela, Summerana.com, and I am live here with Tracy Joy and also Shayna Carter, who is our special guest for today. And we are super excited because we are going to be talking about mirrorless cameras today, Nikon, Canon, and Sony, because we are giving one away to one of you guys in our spring camera giveaway. And that link is in the description of this um, live. So if you guys have any questions, let us know, and we will be here to answer anything you guys can throw at us.
Yeah. So I want to start out by saying that I switched to the mirrorless camera. I have a Sony A7. What do you call it? I3, A7 III? I don't know.
That's what I call it.
Yeah, A7 III. I switched to it after seeing Shayna's post about it. And you wrote a blog post about it, right? I think something.
Yeah, I actually ended up writing 2 blog posts because after my first blog post, I got so many questions, so I kind of did a follow-up.
I remember that. And I had been struggling for so long with my DSLR. So I was a Canon girl for, I don't know, 10 years almost. And I kept struggling with certain issues with it. And it was really heavy and it was giving me like issues in my elbow and my wrist, whatever. But then I saw your post after I had seen some other people talking about it. And I was like, okay, all right. She's talking about the same things that I was talking about. And that was it. Then I got it and I was sold. And I love it.
I think I switched in February of 2019, I think is when I bought mine. And the reason that I mainly switched is because I had always kind of struggled with focus. I was also Canon for a very long time. I had always been Canon. And I had read every article there was on focus. I toggled my focal points. I had, tried the different modes. I, would try to stabilize my arms as much as I could. I would even hold my breath. And it didn't matter, what I did. It was like probably, I would say at least 25% of my images would be out of focus, if not more.
Yeah.
And I would get home and,
cross all your fingers that you were hoping that the favorite pictures are going to be in focus and crisp.
Yes. And it would more than once, it would always be, like you get the perfect image and you're like, oh my God. And then you zoom in and you're like, it's blurry. Of course it's blurry. Yeah. And then another thing that I really struggled with was with seniors, I do a lot of movement. So like having them twirl and, throw their hair around and whatever. And it was, and you're trying to toggle your focal point, but I mean that, I tried different ways on that and it was super hard to achieve focus. I would just basically just put it on burst and just be like, da, 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 and be like, hope somebody gets focus.
I always thought it was me for the longest time. I'm like, something's wrong. I suck as an artist because I'm not I'm shooting on the same settings as my girlfriend is with her Nikon. And mine are coming out like crap. But now with my mirrorless, it's not only half the weight of my Mark IV was, but it's pretty much 95% of my images are perfectly sharp and crisp and clear and beautiful. And I will never go back. I am absolutely obsessed and in love with my mirrorless that I would never go back to a DSLR. I mean, it would take some real heavy selling to get me to ever do that again.
Yeah.
But I love it.
And that's not to say that, mirrorless is the only way to go. You can definitely get, but some people like me, I have a bad neck and back. So the heavier DSLRs are not as, it's harder for me to get sharper images. Yeah. So there's definitely a benefit to both and a negative, to both as well. It's just a matter of what you prefer. But this is definitely a really great opportunity for those who do struggle with getting sharper images or carrying the heavier cameras.
Or having 2 cameras too. Like I still have my Mark IV.
Yep.
I use it for random things. It's my backup camera as well. I'm just a little obsessed with my mirrorless. But I was able to use all my Canon lenses still. So I bought a Sony, But Shana had showed me that there's lens converters. So I didn't have to buy all my gear over again. I just bought my new mirrorless. I bought a little converter lens that attaches to it, and my Canon lenses go right on it. And they're perfectly fine.
Me too. I bought the Sigma MC11 adapter. So I can put that in the comments after this live. But
here, I can show you guys actually. So this is what it is. So here's my Sigma Canon lens. But this little guy right here, it's just the adapter that screws into the base, and then my Canon lenses just click right in, totally fine. And see how tiny it is too? Like, it's a pretty small little camera. And it's easy. I can actually, like, I like to bring this one out and about with me, where I never really did with my Mark IV because it was just so much bigger and bulkier and heavier. So now I do a lot more pictures of my own kids too, because I have it in tow.
I actually, that's funny. I mean, it's just like you said, it's a matter of preference, but I actually prefer the feel of my Mark IV.
Yeah.
I like that it's bigger. It feels better in my hands. That's one thing that I will say that I do not like about the Sony.
That you miss.
It's lighter, but then again, if you get some of the big lenses on it, like say my 135 or my 85, they're pretty big.
Oh, it can feel awkward because the camera's small.
Yes. So I actually do prefer the feel of the bigger camera, but not enough to go back to it.
I do love it. And I bought mine right after reading your stuff. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm just going to jump on it and I'm going to do it. And so thank you.
Is there anything that you guys don't like about the mirrorless?
For me, no.
Is there anything that you guys don't like about the mirrorless? No? What about you, Shana? Anything?
Just like I said, the feel of it, and
like any disadvantages to it?
Any what? Disadvantages?
Sorry, my internet's being weird. Any disadvantages at all that you found?
Just the feel of it, and I was so used. I had muscle memory with the Canon buttons. So that took a little bit of getting used to because my fingers just automatically went. But I was able to go into the menu, and you can custom set the buttons to what you want them to do. So I custom set mine to be as much like the Canon buttons as I could. So that did help.
Options.
I do miss the touch screen menu, which the Sony A7 does not have. But I mean, those are minor things compared to, the focus of your images is obviously more important than any of those things. So
yeah, there's nothing I don't like about mine. I love my mirrorless. I try to sell them to everybody all the time. Like, you really should get a mirrorless camera. They're amazing.
And it's not just the focus. For me, it's like it took half of the work out of shooting because I was so, like I said, I toggled my focal points. And those of you that toggle know that that's a pain. You're trying to do everything so fast. And I felt like I was spending so much of my brain power trying to, toggling my points and everything like that, that I felt like my creativity, I just couldn't focus on everything. And so when I got the mirrorless camera, you literally, the auto eye focus is just amazing.
Oh, great. Brilliant.
You just push a button and it finds their eye and boom. It's done. And
my Canon, my Mark IV didn't have. So when I got that, I was like, oh my, it literally, it seeks out the eye of whoever you're shooting and it finds it like ridiculously accurately almost every time. And it gets it. So it completely, I forgot about that. I'm just so used to shooting with it now that it's one of the things I guess I take advantage or took for granted. But that was a huge plus, that auto eye focus is awesome.
Yes. It kind of felt like I was cheating at first. It was so easy compared to what I had been doing.
I love it. I saw a little question come through from Jenny Ann asking about how they do in low light. Mine's fabulous in low light. I love it. I'm happy to jack that ISO up to like 12,000 and still have fantastic low light images. Yeah. I don't find any downside in shooting with the mirrorless that I did from a DSLR.
No, me either. And all the functions, I mean, even though I don't have any native lenses yet, mine are all Sigma lenses or Canon lenses. Mainly mine are all Sigma. I only have like a couple of Canon lenses, but all the functions work, because I know that had been a question that I had gotten before, but all the functions work. I haven't found anything that doesn't work using the adapter.
Me neither. No, the adapter is pretty awesome. Grace, where'd you go?
We lost her. Our internet is being a little.
Yeah, it's being shaky.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Oh, Erica just said, "Oh my God, that you need the auto eye focus." Yeah, like I was saying, it's pretty fabulous. And really, like with my mirrorless, like I said earlier, my images have never been sharper. Now, one thing I will say is that my friend Bobby got a mirrorless. She got the Canon mirrorless. And I may have gotten that instead of the Sony. I haven't really compared, just to be able to feel like, you know, I'm like with my lenses going Canon to Canon, not that it makes a difference, but just for the ease of maybe I would have chosen to try the Canon mirrorless before. But with that said, I'm highly obsessed with my Sony A7. Like, I love it.
I kind of looked at that also, and I decided to go with Sony just because what I read was that, you know, Canon is kind of just now, well, not just now, but more recently getting in on the mirrorless cameras, and Sony has been doing them a whole lot longer. And so what I read and research said that, you know, Sony was just way ahead of Canon as far as the mirrorless technology. Now, not to say that
I remember hearing that or talking to you about that, maybe, yeah, because they were.
So I think Canon, though, is about to release a professional mirrorless camera coming out, you know, so that might be something to start jumping
on that.
But the thing is that the Sony is so much more affordable. The Canon is probably, that Canon professional mirrorless is probably going to have a pretty big price tag, I would imagine. I can't remember. I don't know if you remember how much the A7 III was when we purchased it.
Right around 2000. I think it was 2100, maybe something like that. So in the grand scheme of how expensive, I mean, it was way less than my Mark IV, what I paid for it. And I think it's just a brilliant camera. How many of you guys watching, do any of you have mirrorless cameras already? Like, I'd love to get your input on things that you love, like pros and cons of your mirrorless as well, because this is a really awesome giveaway for someone to be able to jump on this and get this mirrorless camera. Like I said, I still have my DSLR. So whether it's a backup camera for you or a brand new camera for you, or it's just time to upgrade, I love it.
Me too.
Can't find anything negative to say about it.
I did look at, so we both have the A7 III, but there's an, okay, let me think. Is it an AR7 III or an A7R III? I can't remember.
Yes.
It has an R in there, I know that.
It's an AR7.
It's a little bit more expensive, and it has a few more features. And so people will ask me, okay, well, why did you pick the one that you did over the R? And the reason that I did was because the R has much bigger file sizes, because it has more megapixels and everything. And I didn't want that bigger file size.
The files are huge. They're like 6,000 on the one that we have. Big files.
They're big, and I can't remember how many megapixels the one that I have has, but I have printed up to 30 by 40 canvases, and they're fine. They look gorgeous. I mean, not a problem. So
someone's also asking here, how do you feel the color compares from Canon to Sony? That was a big thing.
Yes. People ask that a lot.
Too much? I mean, I pretty much pull everything in through Lightroom anyway. I think I did a couple tweaks maybe within the settings for my Sony mirrorless, but all in all, I haven't noticed a huge issue with any of it. I mean, I'm happy with my images straight out of the camera. So this year I started a personal private Instagram for my own family of just the kids, of shooting them every day and kind of journaling it. And I take a lot of the stuff and I can use it straight out of my camera right into my feed. So I'm happy with everything in that.
I feel like mine leans toward the magenta a little bit with the skin tones, but I feel like my kids do that also. So
but not genetic, right?
No. And I mean, I edit them anyway, so it's,
Yeah,
with
professional stuff.
Yeah.
Someone's talking about the sharpness again. Yes, the Sony mirrorless, the ones that we both have, is amazingly sharp and crisp and beautiful. Captures all the little freckles and the pores when I do, a portrait kind of session, which I love. But I mean, shooting fine art too, like when you're further away, like you were saying with your longer lenses, I use my 135 Canon lens on my Sony for my fine art stuff, and everything is sharp. My whole person is sharp, no matter how far they are away from me. It's just, it's a completely different bird.
Which I do find the Sigma lenses to be sharper than Canon lenses in general anyway.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Grace, there you are. And you look down at your screen. We can see you now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I had Dan, my husband, crawl underneath my desk to try to figure it out while we were live. And he unplugged the internet. I was like, oh my God. This is why they call me Grace, because I cannot do one single live without making a huge mistake somehow.
We were laughing
I'm so sorry.
Like when Grace and I go live, or Grace in general goes live, like something is going to happen.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you guys.
We were having.
I can't believe the stream still was going without me. I was like, what's going on? Is it cut out? But I'm glad you guys were able to take over. So thank goodness for that.
We were just winging it. I was just looking at questions coming through. I have my phone pulled up here on some stuff.
Awesome.
Amanda's saying she's still shooting with the Canon Rebel and can't afford the upgrade. Well, enter the contest. Like everybody. I know it feels like a big thing when you're doing a contest and a giveaway like this with so many people entering, but there is always a winner. So it's totally random. There's no like pick or choose. So enter your name, be part of it, and do it, because it's a pretty epic prize. Yep. What else can we talk about?
Totally. So I don't know what you guys might have already answered. Did you answer, does the Nikon mirrorless use different lenses than a regular DSLR, or like
Same lenses?
Same ones? So you just get the
Converter?
Yep, the converter.
Yep, and you can use your Nikon lenses or there's a converter for Nikon and my kid's FaceTime is going off. Here I'm gonna be goofy. I totally just lost my train of thought too. Your turn, Shanna. You're it.
There's all the different converters, so or adapters, whatever you want to call them. So I'm not personally familiar with the Nikon mirrorless, but I would assume, that there's also adapters for that. I don't know. That would be something for you to research, because I can't speak to the Nikon. I've never used Nikon, so
yeah, me neither. Me neither. But they do have adapters, so I would assume it would be the same as like the Canon.
Right.
A quick, easy. Because you shoot Nikon, right, Grace?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we were talking about that. If you could still use your lenses, and yeah, totally can.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. Brian says, thank you to the three of you for having this. Awesome. We're so glad to do it for you. Even with all the bloopers.
Yeah. What fun would it be if we didn't have bloopers, though? Surprised the kid hasn't run into my room yet.
Do either of you use them for video?
Yep.
I do not.
I do. And I use either of my lenses. I use my 35 millimeter or my 135. I've used both on video. So yeah, totally use a video with it. And I love it. And it's great. I don't know if it's easier than it is with my Canon or not, but there's literally just like this little button right here. Where are you going, Tracy? There we are, right there. That starts your video. So you press that, it starts video, press it again, and it ends your video. So it's really simple and easy to adapt to for video or for shooting or any part of it. Oh, the other thing I love about not just this mirrorless, but my Sony, is the back of the camera. This little guy comes out. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where I am on my computer. So there. So you see, so if I'm shooting and say I'm shooting downwards, I don't need to be on top of my camera like this. I can just pull the screen back and tilt it so that I can still see it. And it goes in all different directions. It comes out where I'm so backwards. It goes up like this. So it does a whole bunch of different things that makes it really easy to shoot, especially with the live viewing on the back of the, what's this thing called? Screen, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. But you can shoot, you know, you can view through the viewfinder, you can view through that screen itself, and makes it super easy.
I never used a viewfinder. Once I switched over to Sony, I always used the screen, the live shooting mode.
Yeah.
Do you?
I always use the live shooting. And I find it's so much better for kids too, because I don't have to have my face hidden behind the camera. And then that easy tilt of the screen on back. So if they're down low, I, you know, tilt it up and I can shoot and follow and smile and they're reacting to me and not my face being hidden behind a camera.
Yeah.
Canon did have that too, but it didn't have the screen that could tilt. So if you were at a different angle, it would make it kind of hard to use the live viewing, difficult sometimes. But flipping the screen up or down has made it super, super easy. Let's see what else. Is a mirrorless considered an upgrade on all counts? Are there cons to it being a mirrored camera, that a mirrored camera does better? I don't think so. I mean, the difference is there's no mirror inside of it, so that gives a lot of the weight away. Are you better explain? Are you good at explaining like technical stuff? Because I am not.
I'm not good at answering the technical questions, but like you said, it doesn't have to have a mirror. And then of course there's several things that, you know, other things you have to have with the mirror. So that takes the weight of it off. As far as like the quality of images, I don't know if that's maybe what they're asking. There's, you know, there seems to be no difference in that. I feel like that we're moving toward mirrorless and away from DSLR.
I agree completely.
I feel like that eventually everything's going to move that direction, just because it's a better tech. I don't know if I should say it's a better technology.
I love mine, but I think there's a lot of pros to the mirrorless. I mean, the sharpness that I get out of it, the lightweight of it. There's so many different things. And someone's asking again, you're using Sigma and Canon lenses on a Sony. Yep, totally. Yes. There's a little converter mount that you buy and it's not expensive.
It's $200.
A couple $100, yeah. So you pop that on and you can use then any Canon lens or, you know, Sigma Canon mount on your Sony with the converter. Super easy. And it's super small. It's just like a little converter that goes onto the back of your, or the front of your camera, and that's it. I use all my Canon lenses on it. Though I would love to have a Sigma, a Sony lens. I just don't know what or why even, because my Canon lenses work so good on it. So it's kind of like, let's see what else we have over here. Thinking about the Canon EOS R. That's what my friend has. That's the Canon mirrorless, right? The EOS R, and she loves it. You want to get one lens. You have the 24 to 105. So what lens to get really depends on you. I mean, I have my 135 for fine art that I love. I used to have the 70 to 200 zoom, but it was a little bit too heavy for me. So that's why I switched to the 135. But then I also have my 35 millimeter that I love equally as much as I do my 135. So it really depends on what you want to shoot and to what lens is going to be best for you and what your subjects are. And style. There's a lot that goes into it. What do you shoot with mostly, Shayna?
Well, I have, like you said, different for different things. But when I do seniors, I switch between the 35, the 50, and the 85.
Okay.
Those are my three lenses I use for seniors. For families, I usually use the 135 and the 50 or 35 for some lifestyle type shots. So I use all of those, and I'm really thinking about my next lens I really want to get is the 24-70, and that's just because I just got a studio recently, and when I'm in studio, I find myself having to switch between the 35 and the 50, and so I'd like to just not switch anymore. And the other reason is because sometimes in the studio I'm doing shots from above, and with my 35, it's really hard to get.
I used to have the 24-70 and I sold it, and that was my biggest regret, was selling that lens, because that is a great lens, especially for like in studio and for kids, for family sessions with little ones. Yeah, let's see if there's any other questions. Mirrorless provides closer lens to sensor distance, which increases quality of the photo and focusing ability.
Oh, there we go.
There's this one that's good with technical stuff. Helps companies develop faster lenses. Yep. I mean, the amount of crispness, just like you just said, crispness and sharpness to my images in comparison it's crazy. I love it. Thinking of any other pros or even a con. I still don't have a con against my mirrorless camera. I love it.
I mean, this is like minor, but with my Canon, I used to always set a custom white balance. That was kind of my thing, that I just always did it, and I had it down. I was so fast, so I would set custom white balance all throughout my sessions, and I just, I could just do it so fast because I had those buttons just memorized. And Sony, you can also set a custom white balance, but to me, it's not as easy. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because my muscle memory was so ingrained with the Canon, but that's one thing that I tend to not do with my Sony. I don't use auto white balance. I'll still change it to one of the presets, or I'll use Kelvin. Started using Kelvin.
Yeah, I use Kelvin. That's what I use.
But I mean, it's easy to change the white balance, but for some reason setting the custom white balance just didn't seem as easy, and I kind of never just made that transition. But
P.S. You've heard it. Doesn't matter the camera you have, but it's your Photoshop skills. No. Because when I was using my Mark IV, there was nothing I could do to make my pictures any sharper than they were out of camera. You have to get it in camera. I mean, that's why you have your base level DSRs, and then you have your $4,000 DSLRs, because there is a difference in quality of the images that shoot. And I completely found, I mean, I have to do so much less editing now with my mirrorless, because I was so super uber focusing on trying to make my pictures sharp and crisp with my DSLR. I don't have to do that anymore. So Photoshop really has, no, I mean, Photoshop is where you can make magic happen, but you have to get things, out of your camera first. Sharpening in Photoshop is pretty much, it's adding contrast to your image. It's not actually making it a sharper shot.
If it's out of focus, I mean, there's nothing you can do. There's no, that's like the one
everything for like years.
For. And I would struggle with that, because I would have some that would be like not terribly out of focus, but just a little bit softer. And then I would be like, maybe I could salvage this. But then I would always think, of course, this will probably be the one that they want to blow up huge for the wall. Yeah. And then what am I going to say? Well, this is not really the one you want to blow up huge, because it's actually not really in focus. No. So I would have to throw it out, and I would be so sad.
I know. I really don't have that problem anymore. And I don't have to overshoot as much as I was shooting a ridiculous amount, like 300 pictures at a mini session, just to be able to have something that I could salvage that was sharp and in focus. Now I don't have to. Now I can do 5 images total. And
I would literally take 5 or 6 shots of the same exact picture, the same exact pose. Hoping that at least one of them would be in focus.
Something.
Now I can just take one, and I don't worry that it's, not going to be in focus.
I was always struggling with that and blaming myself for it when wasn't necessarily me. And I know people also that love their Mark IVs and haven't had any problems with theirs. But I also hear a lot of people who do have problems with their DSLRs of all different brands and sizes and whatever else. Mm-hmm. But the people I talk to that have mirrorless cameras, focus is not something that they complain about. It's like not even on the radar.
Right.
So, just like
going back to the creativity, like I tend to, especially with seniors, I talk the entire session. Mm-hmm. And when you're trying to, move your focal point, get it right on their eye, not shake, be as still as you can, not breathe, it's really hard to keep that conversation going and thinking about that and all the buttons you need to push.
Well, with the Sony mirrorless and the auto eye focus.
Yes. I like wave my camera. I'm like, I don't even think about it. I just snap.
Because it literally is just so smart.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And it's so light too, where you can wave it around and not throw your shoulder out.
Right. With mirrorless, we can now say how bad we were with soft focus issues back in the DSLR days. Yep. To be honest.
It used to drive me crazy. It used to drive me nuts.
Gabriella is asking, how is the battery life compared to DSLR? Is it pretty much same or?
I would even say better. I feel like I rarely have to charge mine, and I shoot it every single day for my own kids for our photo documenting thing that I do. I probably charge it once a month.
I feel like it takes less technology. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After a session, my battery is usually at like 80 to 85%. I mean, that does bring me to one thing that might be a negative, though. The A7R, the A7 III, I don't know about the R, but you don't take the battery out like you do with your DSLR. You plug the camera into the wall with the cord. A lot of people do not like that. They like to have their battery and their extra battery, and they just pop out the battery and pop in a new one. You cannot do that on a Sony. So I do think that is a drawback.
Wait, I'm confused because I pop mine out and I pull it out and I put it on a charger.
Oh, okay. Mine's not like that.
Huh. I wonder if it's just like an extra thing I bought. That might be. It might have just been an extra
And they may have changed that because I think they were getting complaints about that. People did not like that.
I remember talking about this with somebody else. Yeah. And
that was an upgrade that they made. And that's good because mine you have to plug into the wall.
Yeah. So. No, I take it out, I put it on its charger, and I do have an extra backup battery. So one's usually sitting on the charger, and then I swap them out when I need to.
So that's great that you can have that option.
Yeah. The only thing is there's a long cord on it, which is irritating. The Canon one, just plugs right in. The plug's mounted on the charger itself. But, I mean, that's a small thing for me.
It says with using the live screen, it might drain it a little bit more.
It could be. But that's pretty much what I only use. I use the live screen. I don't even.
That's all I use. I don't notice it.
The live screen is so fabulous with this. So. Yeah, I don't.
There's still so much to learn about all of this, which is fascinating. The technology as it's coming along.
It is, and like she was saying, I think this is going to be where the professional cameras are going, is in this direction, because there's so many advantages to it.
Exactly. Definitely agree.
Yeah. You got to jump on board now, Grace.
I'm actually gonna get one. I don't have one right now, so I'm just kind of like
waiting and seeing. Yeah. I don't know anything about Nikon or Nikon mirrorlesses.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I don't know if I want to switch or to have like the Sony mirrorless or the Nikon mirrorless, but I'm definitely kind of thinking more. Maybe I could even rent both to see which one I like better.
That's a great idea.
And then that way I can kind of play and see before I make a final decision. Yeah. I'm like you. I'll buy something and I'm like, I'm not used to it. I don't like it. And then I sell it right away.
Well, that's the thing. With the Sony, it is getting used to a different thing. And it is, the buttons even where they are with your aperture and your shutter speed are in different places. So it is getting used to that, muscle memory again and where everything is.
Yeah.
It is different. But
it definitely seems worth it.
And if you get a Sony, we can help you, Grace.
Totally. Yeah. True.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to do that.
Right. We have any other fun questions coming through?
Oh. You can always get an old DSLR, get pliers, and rip off the
mirror out. I would mess that up. I would then have a destroyed, multi-$1,000 camera. Total poop. That would be what happens with me.
Yeah, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for the tip. So if anybody else has any questions, it's hard for me to know like what you guys went over while I was having my internet issue.
I was just thinking, I think we kind of covered everything, all the things that we really love, the questions that came through. If anybody has more questions, pop them in there. I don't mind help coming in and leaving comments and guiding it all, because I got guided too, so it's a fun thing.
Michelle says, is the Sony difficult to learn?
It's a learning curve, like I said, because you're using something different, but I actually found some great tutorials on YouTube, and that made it really easy. And it was even the settings within the camera. It was like one guy's YouTube was how he set up his specific things in there. There's also some great things with highlights, and is it called zebra lighting or something in there, Sheena? Do you remember?
Yes, I use that.
Yeah. That really is helpful for light and highlights and blowouts and all that stuff as well. Of course, my phone's ringing. But I don't know anything else to input. My favorite lens with your Sony, it depends. I love using my Canon 135 for fine art or for newborns or my family. I use my 35 Sigma Canon mount.
Yep, totally depends on what you're shooting.
And I love them both equally. I couldn't not have one and the other. All right, guys. Any other input we can put in there? Or which camera model? It's the Sony A7 III. Is that what we were calling it, Jana? Is that what we said? It's an a 7, and Roman numerical 3. I don't know if this even works, but I'll happily put up a link to it in the group as well. It's a great camera. It's a wonderful camera, and fairly inexpensive in the range of, professional camera bodies too. Yeah. Let's see, any other questions here?
I see a lot of great advice also in the comments.
Yeah, there is some great, I was just thinking the same thing too, some great advice for questions that are more technical that are not great with those words coming through. So yeah, read through the comments and the threads.
Yeah, totally.
It's all good information, and good luck to everybody.
Yeah, and don't forget to enter the giveaway. We are giving away a free mirrorless camera, your choice of Canon, Nikon, or Sony. So you can do your own research before picking one if you are a winner. So yeah, thank you so much for Shayna for coming on with us and giving us your wisdom and your presence, and you, Tracy Joy, as well.
When we talked about this, I'm like, Grace, we need Shayna.
Yeah.
You gotta come over for having me. On mine. I saw her stuff and I was like, yes, give it to me. What do I buy? Give me a list. Thank you, Shayna.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's so nice having you guys and talking with you guys. Sorry I was only here for like half of it, but
it's all right. We love you.
Okay, so if anybody has any questions, let us know in the comments and we will try our best to do that. And it was so great for you guys being here live with us.
Thank you all for joining us.
One of you guys. Yep. So be sure to enter, and good luck. All right. We will see you guys later.
Bye, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.